Sonny Hostin destroys Mike Pence's claim of accepting his child coming out as gay. Former Vice President Mike Pence seems to be setting himself up for a run for president in 2024. At a recent college event, he was asked what he would do if his child came out as gay. His response, quote, "I would tell them that I love them," end quote. The View host, Sonny Hostin, didn't believe him, and she brought receipts to back up her opinion. Watch this.
If one of your children came out to you as gay, how would you respond? What would you tell them?
I'd look them in the eye and tell them I love you. I believe marriage was ordained by God and instituted in the law, but we live in a pluralistic society. And the way we go forward and the way we come together as a country united, I believe, is when we respect your right to believe and my right to believe what we believe.
You know, I appreciate what you're saying about your former boss and Mike Pence. I think he's lying on that tape. And I think that, you know, words are meaningless when your actions say differently, right? And let's just take a look very briefly at Mike Pence's record with the LGBTQ plus community. In 2000, he said during his congressional campaign that Congress should oppose any effort to put gay and lesbian relationships on an equal legal status with heterosexual marriage. Let me continue. In 2004, Mike Pence co-sponsored a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would define marriage as solely between one man and one woman. In 2007, he voted against the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. In 2010, he voted against the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. In 2015, he signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
All right, we got it.
Let me say there's more if you want.
It's only an hour
This is the real Mike Pence. So I don't care what he's saying because he wants to run for president.
But let me tell you, let me say this. Let me say this.
And I like my politicians not lying
But
to
let me say this.
All right.
Let me just say this, I love Sonny Hostin.
I just love the way that she's like, but no buts.
No.
And I said this before, you know, you cannot just say I'm not homophobic and like absolve all homophobia. Like you can't do that. And I've said this on a previous segment. I said this at the last youth takeover. Mm-hmm. There is an understanding among Republicans, especially, and other conservatives, that homophobia is bad, right? That homophobic has a negative connotation, and homophobia is something they do not want to associate themselves with. And so when you tell them that they are homophobic, they'll say, "No, I'm not," while doing blatantly homophobic things. You cannot just say, "I am not homophobic," do homophobic things, and expect like that one statement to be good enough.
Absolutely, and he's done it again and again. When he was governor of his state, he made anti-LGBT the law of the land.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think for a second that he wouldn't love his kid if they came out, but I don't know how, as a human being, you can hold both opinions at the same time.
How can you reconcile?
How can you reconcile that? How can you say, "I love you, my child"?
Say,
I'm going to make laws that are going to.
He says, "I love the sinner, but not the sin."
And you know, this is just shows you the dangers of internalized homophobia with Mike Pence, because she gay.
Well, here's the question too: how is this different than previous politicians who maybe weren't as pro-gay as we wanted them to be?
Like Barack? And
because Obama wasn't pro-marriage when he first started out, and
Hillary,
and yeah,
well, they got to show it.
Well, they weren't necessarily pro-LGBTQ plus, which sounds so odd for me to even say that, but they weren't trying to enact legislation that was vehemently anti-LGBTQ plus community. Legislation that would harm us, erase us, this kind of thing. I think that's the big difference. That evolutionary process, I think, is that to me. I think
he's positioning himself right now to be the candidate against Ron DeSantis in 2024. So being, you know, now like there is no videos and no clips from his 4 years with Donald Trump that we are going to be posting nonstop every time he says something like this. Now he's trying to come across as, you know, more humane and understanding, because we know how Ron DeSantis is. And Ron DeSantis is the main leading contender here if Donald Trump doesn't run. Well, so he is positioning himself to be the alternative there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if Mike Pence was going to evolve on the issue, we would have seen some movement. That being said, if he proves me wrong, I will be happy to
Get on the
say
bandstand.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we like it when people evolve on the issue. They learn, I mean, we're evolving on issues constantly because we're learning more. If he evolves on the issue, awesome. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Isn't his daughter is gay, right? Didn't you?
No. It was
That was a hypothetical question.
Hypothetical question.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ+